Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Cheux, and in this one I'm going to be playing with Sherman, also known as the Shermanator, and you can find a channel link in the description to his channel. So in this one I'm going to be using the 91st Luftlande Division, and Sherman's going to be using the 12th SS Panzer. We're going to be playing against two 2nd Armoured French divisions. So in this game, what you would expect to see, and something that I'm definitely going to be talking about, is aggression from the 2nd Armoured French divisions, because they are 100 points requisition coming in Phase A, alongside their M8 Greyhound Spy and also the Stuart combo. So they can bring in like the Stuarts and the M8s, and they can really demolish front lines. If they come into line of sight of anything, they're just going to delete them with their 50 cals. That's basically the idea. They also have the M10 tank destroyers at the start of the game, so there's that to worry about as well. So I'm just a lonely 91st Luftlande, nobody loves me anymore division, and I'm going to be using the Ersatztruppen today to take the right side town and all of these sort of buildings. So basically I was going to cover from this sort of compound to the right. Meanwhile, the 12th SS Panzer Division is going to be holding the left side. And basically what Sherman decided to do was, he wasn't sure if he wanted to bring in a Firefly at the start of the game because of their M10s. He would bring in the Firefly basically to counter the M10. But he wasn't sure if he needed it at the start of the game. So what he's going to do, which is actually quite an important thing to learn to do sometimes, is he's going to hold the points back. So what he's going to do is put enough units on the ground that he uses up just enough that after 1 minute he can bring in a Firefly if he needs to, or he can bring in other stuff. So that's basically it. I will demonstrate it probably in a live game at some point, but meanwhile let's have a look at the stuff on the right. So I've got some MGs, I've got some Ersatztruppen, I've got a couple squads of the Fallschirmjägers, then I have a Panzerschreck squad and a Panzerabwehr squad, which is the recon with the Panzerschreck. Then of course I have an IG-18. These have since been added to my division. Since I fell in love with the IG-18s, they have only become more and more powerful. Initially I fell in love with them because they increased their range from 800 to 1000 meters. But in the latest patch they actually increased, or well, made their stealth better, going from bad to medium. So they hide a lot better in hedges and tree lines, which to me is a really weird buff. But either way, they've added that to the game. This was actually a game that was played before that buff, so it doesn't matter either way. But definitely something to note, and I probably will go through the patch notes. So yeah, that's something that I have an idea of doing. Let's have a look at where my troops are going anyway. Pretty obvious. Most of them are going towards the town. All of these are like the Ersatztruppen, the Fallschirmjägers, the command infantry, and the MGs and so on. So the MGs are going into here, and I've also got an MG going into here, and the reason for that is because they can cover the entirety of the left and right flanks of the town whilst I punch through the middle. That's the plan at least. Then I've got an AT gun for the centre, and Sherman's going to be moving up on this far left side. So he's going to get his recon to drive all the way up to the far left. He's going to drop out the recon into this bush here, and that should provide us with information against the French divisions for the majority of the game. But something to really talk about in this one is not just the fact that I'm playing 91st Luftlande, which nobody seems to do anymore, but also the 2nd Armoured French divisions. So 2nd Armoured French divisions also fallen off the face of the earth, especially with the introduction of a lot of infantry decks into the meta. But yeah, the French divisions still have the power to push very hard. And as we can see, M3A3, fair enough, he's brought one up. So that's a good start. I've brought up all my Ersatztruppen and I'm spreading them out best I can. He's also bringing up the M5A1. This is the 50 cal. And the engagement begins. So my Einsatztruppen just sort of sponging the shots at the moment. My MG34 is going to be opening up onto the Nueva in the open. But what I'm going to do is take the Einsatztruppen out of this house and swap them round with the Panzerabwehr, which have the 250 meter range Panzerschreck. And that Panzerschreck should just be in range to take out the 50 cal. So that's what I was trying to plan to do there. On this right side, Pioneers coming in, and they're really actually catching me off guard, forcing me to fall back with my Fallschirmjägers and the Einsatztruppen here. And he's also moved the 50 caliber half-track into the town. Now this was a bit of a mistake, I would say, because the 50 cal is very vulnerable to Panzerschreck fire and Panzerfaust fire that close into town. But what's going to happen here? Pioneer squad's going to force my Fallschirmjägers out onto the street here and pin them down. Going to make them fall back as soon as possible. Panzerabwehr tried to take the Pioneers on as well, but that didn't work out. So I'm being hit pretty hard. 50 cal is actually doing a lot of damage because I can't get a Panzerschreck into line of sight or Panzerfaust. This Panzerschreck squad at the back left here definitely should have been moved to the right. I should have brought it in on the right side. So what I'm doing here is trying to get this MG34 across into one of these buildings so that I can start to pin down the Nueva. I'm also trying to get the Einsatztruppen into this building so they can use grenades onto the half-track here. And that's another reason you don't want them so close, because those grenades can kill off your half-tracks if you're not careful. But what that allows the opponents to do is actually fire all of their 50 cals onto this poor Einsatztruppen in this church. I'm trying to keep my Fallschirmjäger alive there, but they eventually die out. Panzerschreck finally comes over and kills off that half-track for me. So they're hitting us hard, but we're still gaining the +1 because I've got a unit of MG34 here that's just covering the middle. And now I'm starting to really do some damage to the units on the right side. So if we go to the neutral perspective, there's an M5A1 half-track, you got another M5A1 there, you got an M3A3. And there's more stuff in the middle, M5A1, M10. Why wouldn't you push? I mean, there's a Pak 40 here that I brought up, but he has a recon. So I think he's bringing in the Jeep with the mortar now to take out that Pak 40. But there are other ways to deal with that. So, for example, from the edge of this tree line here to that AT gun is roughly 900 meters. If he got all of his half-tracks from the right side and fast moved them down this road to the point where they're in 800 meter range of the AT gun, I mean, this AT gun doesn't even have line of sight on this side of the tree line here, and you could have checked that. He could have just drove up to behind these houses, popped out, got the 50 cals on target, wrecked the AT gun, and drove straight through. That's what I would have done. Spotting that AT gun there, easy to do. Get the half-tracks away from the town where they're not being effective. A lot of my infantry is basically succeeding here. Only my Einsatztruppen have really died. The Fallschirmjägers are both still alive here. IG-18s have been brought up. One of them's got hit pretty hard here. I'm trying to get my Panzerschreck over to the left side again now to engage the Stuart there. I lost my Panzerabwehr, and they're dead now. But I've taken this town on the right side, that's for sure. And now the Panzerschreck's going to move for a shot onto the M3A3. Actually misses its shot, which was rather devastating, but there we go. Pak 40 has been forced to fall back, and now he's bringing an M10 over to the right side. And I was really questioning his focus at this point, because a lot of people put a focus onto these towns, but honestly, in a lot of times, you can just drive around them. You can just drive around them. I'm piling into this town with pretty much everything I got because he's pushing against it. But if he wasn't, then I obviously would have been spreading out a bit more. But he's basically playing into my hands where I know I'm going to win. And that's a big issue with the French decks. Like, they can't play into a town like this unless you correctly micromanage your Nueva and half-track combos. But at the moment, literally just allowing me to get more units into the buildings here before he's making another push, and the Nueva not having the cover they need, probably from these 81mm mortars, They're great. Provide smoke though. Get the Nueva close because the Bolshevik suck in close range. Bolsheviks there being ripped to shreds by the 50 cals. That's something that's likely to happen. Pack 36 is going for the kill onto the M3A3, hoping to get that kill, and I certainly do. As took about 3-4 shots, but managed to pick off the M3A3 there with the 5 AP power Pack 36. M10 trying to get the kill onto the Pack 36 as well, but Pack 36 is fallen back in time. So I took out his M3A3, which is nice. Now getting the Panzerschrecks on target. Going to be killing off both of his half-tracks there. He let them get way too close. And the Einsatztruppen still stopping infantry on the right side. Bringing up this Kubel with the recon infantry. That's just going to be unloading and providing me with recon on the right side of the town. My AT gun in the centre still being mortared, and it still doesn't have line of sight. So they could have easily moved this half-track round and just killed that off manually with the MG. But either way, they're now coming at me. Sherman does have his spear through here, so we can see a lot of this stuff coming. There's 3 Stuarts coming our way, and I've also got my own recon there as well. So Panzerabwehr on the right side, they're going to get wrecked by Pioneer and Voltigier's combo. Then I've got MG34 coming up to basically shoot down the street alongside an Einsatztruppen just to sponge the napalm. Bolshevik is trying to get into position here. If I can get them into the house, then they'll be safe, and I certainly do. Going to be able to get the Panzerfaust onto target, and goodbye to the WC-52. Again, those WC-52s are units that would be great if they're kept at range using those 50 cals, because they do have a 50 cal machine gun on them. You just got to make sure that you use those units more effectively, because at the moment all that's happening is we are being put up against a good fight, and there is this big push coming in the middle, which is great, but it just, for one, wasn't done soon enough, but two, this, I don't know, you could easily just surround the town with 50 cals, and then every time an infantry unit shows itself, it gets killed. So WC-52s, M5A1 half-tracks, they really do a lot of damage to infantry squads if you allow them to get on target. Now here all I'm doing is just reinforcing with loads of cheap infantry. None of this is anything of substance, it's literally just a bunch of Einsatztruppen. The rest of my decent stuff's coming over to the left side. I've got a couple of the Einsatztruppen coming up here as well. Again, just to create sponges for the M5A1 M5A1 Stuarts. But I've also got a Panzerschreck squad. Sherman's doing the right thing here and hiding his Panzer II, ready to ambush the M5A1 Stuart. I'm not sure why this Stuart was moving so far ahead, but here I'm just going to be unloading my Panzerschreck. That's going to be waiting to get a shot on target. Going to be aiming very quickly thanks to the 3-star veterancy, and goodbye to the Stuart. So they basically gave us way too much time to react to this, and they didn't manage to punch through with these Stuarts like they probably could have. Also bringing up an AT gun now, and we can see all of this just due to our recon as well. Pretty sure they had some recon of their own, these Gruppe Spy, but they definitely could have used more recon to make sure that we didn't have recon. The 4-man recon squads would have been a fantastic here to spot these spear through. Other way on the right side, some flamethrowers again coming in to take out some Einsatztruppen, but they're going to get killed off very quickly. IG-18s are rolling forwards, 1 health IG-18s, and some command voltages here going to get just shot to death by multiple Einsatztruppen with their Kar 98s, and well, there goes that squad. Ersatz managing to get up into these trees just to hold the front line a bit further forwards. Pack 36 is going to be engaging an M5A1 Stuart. Now in this case, you want to be charging that. This Pack 36, I mean, you're just outside 800 meter range. Pretty sure the M5A1 could drive into range of the Pak-36 and kill it off with its 30 cals before the Pak-36 you know, gets a shot on target and kills it, because these are 5 AP power. Also, they have no veterancy, so the Stuart should have a decent chance of taking these guys out. And you can see here, this one's just absolutely failing. It takes out the WC-25, but just gets pinned down and forced to fall back with that. Meanwhile, on this right side, IG-18's still going to work. I believe my opponent brought up another flame infantry here, but that's just going to get blown to pieces by the IG-18 and the Fallschirmjägers here. And he's also brought up some of the M8 Spy and the M5A1 Stuart. All of these units, the M8 Spies, the M10, the M5A1 Stuart, if they were pushing in the middle right now against these Pak-36s, then I would have been in a much worse spot. But because they were focused on the town, that was why they aren't doing so well. So now what I'm doing is actually bringing in some Pak-38s. These are basically 1-star veterancy, so a lot better for taking on the opposing tanks. And here we're going to be seeing the Pak-38 engage an M10 at max range. So this is a 1-star Pak-38. Can actually hit stuff, which is nice. Also got the Pak-38 on the left, engaging Stuarts and half-tracks. So this Pak-38 is going to take out the Greyhound there. We're also going to bounce the M10. M10's going to be falling back from that. And, well, boom, side armor shot. M10's going to go down. A little bit of missed micromanagement on our opponent's part there. Both of these units burn into a crisp as the AT gun does its job. So they've since changed, again, a patch note thing just to mention. They've since changed the fact that like stress actually affects accuracy now on AT guns. So the more stress an AT gun is, the less accurate it's going to be, which makes sense. And they finally added it, so that AT gun wouldn't have been half as effective on the latest patch. This is again a game that was played on the last patch. Moving up a AT gun here to just kill off the units on the right side. And again, he's quite simply just playing into my hands. He's not pushing anywhere, he's just allowing me to counter everything he's bringing in. We just killed off like 2 of his Stuarts in the middle. And over on this right side, we're moving up the Pak-38 to just kill off the M8 Spy, the M5A1, and the Obusia and M7 there as well. My Pak-38 is actually going to manage to get line of sight onto the artillery there and kill it off, which is nice. It's now a 2-star Pak-38 thanks to the veterancy of the Fallschirmjäger. And this Fallschirmjäger is basically providing veterancy for the majority of the town because it has a 2-star veterancy, so the radius of the command is bigger. So it's able to cover all of these Ersatztruppen and not be anywhere near them. Fallschirm Pioneer with 1-star, you can see that the circles are quite a lot smaller. It is managing to cover off the left side. So Pak-38's engaging tanks again, and there goes another Stuart. Spey was revealed by the Ersatztruppen, and that's going to cause a massive engagement. Pak-38 though is going to get on target of the M8 Spey now, and the Spey is going to make a run for it because it doesn't want to suffer the same fate. So yeah, just getting the Pak-38 into a position where it can fire down the road, and then we're pretty much safe on that right side. He's got plenty of arty here. He's got the mortars, he's got the M7s. And now we have a Tiger E. Wittmann in the middle. So Wittmann there, going to be holding the line alongside my Pak-38s and the Pak-36s. And well, since the French hadn't broken through in Phase A, we're on to a winner, that's for sure. They put up a good fight in the town, that's for sure, at the start of the game. I really didn't expect them to bring in flame troops. The Pioneers really caught me off guard. Oh, here's an interesting play. Boom. Take out the supply vehicle to kill off the mortar that was right next to it. That was just me manually targeting the supply vehicle there with the Pak-38 to make that happen. So continuing the engagement, You're going to see the Pack 38 and the Pack 36 here engaging the half tractors that come down the road. And since I have full control of this town and I've brought up so many AT guns, there just really isn't much they can do to push back at this point. And yeah, if you don't make it that far in Phase A as the French, you're going to have a hard time for the rest of the game. Because now Sherman can bring in, he's got his Firefly on this left side, he can bring in Panthers, he's got his Pack 40, 13 AP power AT guns. You know, there's all this sort of stuff that we can now use to kill off the French deck. And it's really not looking good for our opponents. We're only running the +1 in terms of, like, conquest score. But it's just a slow and painful death for our opponents now. Fallschirmjäger is going to be brought in. Going to be engaging the Nueve here. Trying to get rid of them with the Cheux 42 as well. This is a unit that I've started to look at using in certain divisions. So bringing in the Cheux 42. Cheux 42 is a 1,200 meter range, 15 HE power unit, and I find that they're good because they provide that AoE explosion that allows you to engage 1,200 meter range like AT guns from just out of range, which is really nice. So the opponent's bringing in planes now. Spitfire Mark 9s are going to be engaged by Sherman's ME-109s, I believe. And then I'm going to be bringing in my own ME-109 to assist. That's going to be an air engagement there. Oh, both players pull away from that. I believe we were having air engagements throughout the game as well. There go the Nueve to the Cheux 42. Eventually I was using fire position there to take care of that. And the right side, yeah, that town's just completely mine. My pack does go down. Here comes the air engagement I was talking about. So I brought a second ME-109 in, and that's going to be accompanying both of Sherman's to engage his Spitfires. And I think as soon as they saw this coming, there wasn't too much they could really do. Going to be shooting them down very quickly and very easily. 2-star ME-109s and my own 1-star ME-109s. Just doing so much damage. HS-129 I also bought now to try and do some damage. But one of our opponents has already surrendered. And with that, we've basically won the game because our second opponent also surrenders just before the HS-129 can have its fun. And there you have it. After 19 minutes and 24 seconds, we are victorious. And it says total defeat. Again, I had to reload the replay to come back into this screen. So put it from a neutral perspective, and it always does it from the Allies' perspective. So it says total defeat. So don't get too confused. We definitely won. And I think what it mainly came down to was just the fact that, like, the French didn't, like, get a decent advantage in Phase A to be able to, like, push through. And you can see that I got a lot of kills, 1,480 kills to 705 losses. Sherman held well on the left side, 605 kills to 155 losses. I think on his side in general, not much was happening, and it was really confusing because the French really have a lot of things that they can use to, like, punch through the Germans early on. So, for example, even if he had a Boiter Firefly, they could have definitely double-teamed their M10s onto the Firefly just to kill it off and then continue with their, like, rampage. But they didn't choose to, and I think on the right side as well, having all of those vehicles, like, surrounding the town but not really doing much, just allowed me to move AT guns into position and kill them. Not the best thing to do. Honestly, like, you could have easily pushed through when they had that recon there and they spotted the AT gun. That's like the weakness in the line. You got to identify that and be like, okay, so I see all of this infantry in the town. This guy's obviously focusing the town. He's got IG-45 or IG-18s here. He's got all sorts of stuff. He's got Fallschirmjägers. All of this stuff costs lots of points. There's one AT gun here. We can kill that and we can break through. That's sort of the thing that I think is worth pointing out from this replay. Again, I don't normally choose these replays to do just because we won or whatever. I tend to choose these replays because it sort of illustrates a good point, and it also shows off stuff that I don't normally use. So for example, I don't normally use 91st Luftlande, so I decided to use this replay for that, but also just to point out that if you're going to play double French especially, you really need to push your advantage in phase A. Either way, I think these are kills and losses for Odie with the 325 and 500 losses, so yeah, there's not really much to look at in the kills and losses list. It would have been interesting to see what sort of stuff mine had killed, but either way, there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.